What's going on, my friends? I've got something a little different for you today. I had the unique pleasure of meeting up with a follower of the channel who happens to have the Comma Openpilot system. Jordan has the system hooked up in his 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid, and he had the awesome idea to meet up and experience the systems together. He'd never ridden in an FSD Beta vehicle from Tesla, and I've never experienced Openpilot from Comma. So I jumped on the opportunity to head up there and check it out. Try to keep in mind that this video isn't intended to be a direct comparison of FSD Beta to Openpilot. It would be more accurate to compare Openpilot to Tesla's Autopilot that comes standard because they have similar functionality. It would be unwise to view the systems as competing technology. Jordan is using the 0.8.13 release of the Openpilot system, and it uses 2 cameras for computer vision as well as the sensor suite in the vehicle it's hooked up to. In his case, radar, active cruise control, lane keeping, and such. Even though it lacks some of the capability of the FSD Beta, there are several features on the Openpilot system that I would love to have on the FSD Beta. So keep your eyes out and see if you can spot what those are. I'm pretty vocal about it. I'm super grateful for Jordan inviting me out and sharing this experience with him. It was a fantastic idea. It was a lot of fun, and this is a longer video. We did a lot of driving and had a lot to talk about, so I'll include chapters that way you can maneuver through the video as you deem fit. So without further ado, here is my level 2 adventure with Jordan. Enjoy. There we go, we got a little... See, that's common when you have light, shadows, and cars coming around a bend. The car just kind of goes, oh, hang on. Some people will mistakenly think that's phantom braking, but it's not. There's a reason.
It's more of just unable to get full confidence when it sees on the road.
Because it can't see completely around the bend. And there are a lot of times, especially when you're at like, you know, north of 50 miles an hour on like a one-way down mountain roads, when it comes to those bends, and you're also thinking, or the system's thinking about elevation change too. So like if you have a bend and a corner that goes down and around, the Beta is even more like, whoa,
okay,
where did the ground just go?
I've wondered about that, like if it comes up to a hill and it kind of, like how it interprets.
One of the more challenging things is elevation, like being able to see what, like something is tall or low. Andre Karpathy's talked about that a few times, and I think it was on the Robot Brains podcast and on Battery, or no, AI Day and such too. I watched that 3-hour AI Day like 3 times.
Right.
And I actually noticed it on, in San Diego, going to the airport, there's a really like steep hill down, kind of like a San Francisco style hill. Yep. And we were actually stopped at it, and then there was a regular like minivan, and it shows, you know, the SUV on here.
Yeah.
But because of the angle, it was stretching it into a semi-truck, and a weird looking, like oblong looking semi-truck, because you could see the distortion in the height.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's actually showing it. Because that's actually something they've changed with this visual. The object sizes are not fixed. The computer can actually stretch the image.
Okay.
So like semi-trucks might be kind of squished or long because it's like interpreting in real time, versus before you would just see like 2 semi-trucks. Yeah. And it would be kind of weird. Yeah. Now it'll actually just stretch the image. Because it can do that with buses and like train cars and all kinds of things.
It's pretty crazy how they taught this system. Like how they went from using like a radar on the car, and then we're trying to train it to figure out the distance between something with a radar by using cameras, the same way interpret, or you know what I mean? Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
It's, I think James Dama called it the telephoto lens, which is one of the 3 that are on the other side of this housing. Because we have fisheye, which basically can see 180 all the way across in a really like wide angle. And then you have the main camera, which is kind of just like what we're seeing here. And then there's the telephoto distance camera that's shooting out. I think somebody in one of the comments said over 200 meters, which is pretty far.
That's insane.
I think the radar was around 160 or 180. And it's been wild to see what it's been able to do with just computer vision.
So what do you think of it, like in bright daylight? Do you think you still have a lot of confidence in it, being able to judge the distance between something that's like an object that stops abruptly, even if it's like in bright daylight shining against the cameras?
I mean, for the most part, yeah, it's been fine. I have had occasions where I've thought it actually seems to perform better at night.
Oh.
Like, but more specifically at night on roads that have lights. Because I just experienced a couple of times going through Sacramento and Folsom area that there's a lot of roads kind of like this, but with a lot more trees and no lights. And the system will actually go into a deteriorated mode, kind of like in heavy rain, and it will either not allow, like full self-driving beta will go away and it goes back to the original build, or it'll just constantly like do the like the alarm sounds, saying like camera, pillar camera blinded or autopilot performance degraded. It's like constantly like saying, hey, I can't really see what's going on because it was black outside. There's like no light. But on streets where you've got street lights and such, it does pretty good.
Not bad.
That was a good smooth turn there. I actually find it kind of annoying when you have to do the whole nag thing in the middle of a corner. So hopefully it doesn't hear, which is fine. There we go.
Not bad. Oh man.
Kind of got on the yellows, but we didn't really cross over. And then it just, you know, gets on it afterwards, which I love. And sometimes coming around corners, whether it's right on, I guess it was more so rights than lefts. Lefts, it was always, it might get a little choppy mid-corner, but it would accelerate. But right on red or right turn period, whether it's into a neighborhood or onto a street, sometimes it would come off just agonizingly slow and then finally go. But this system, more often than not, will hit that corner and say, let's go, and then just take off. I've had a couple of times where someone's like, so you ever have customers that are, you know, nervous or don't like it? And one of my responses was, they actually think my car drives better than other Uber drivers they've had. Because if you've ever been around or seen taxis or the way Uber drivers can be, it's scary. Like, they're just going, cutting people off, no regard for anything.
Well, the cool thing about this is there's, at times, there can be a lot of things going on around you, so when you have those multiple cameras looking around and able to pick up information even that you can't pick up all at one time.
It's gonna freak out here probably. Oh, not as bad. There we go.
Right.
Yeah, trucks like that pulling a trailer around the corner, it's kind of like dealing with a big vehicle like a bus or a semi, and the system's like, whoa, what's going on?
That's what I wanted to see in my system, was when it goes around turns, it's able to slow down and kind of adjust its
compensate
speed.
a little bit. Yeah,
it does not do that. Like, I have to constantly set the speed however I want it to, and even if it's like the speed limit is 40 but that sign says take the turn at 30, like I have to drop it way down, and sometimes it's not even quick enough to drop it down enough that I have to take over and just do the turn and then resume the system.
Yeah, this actually has the ability to get some pretty gnarly braking done right in the apex of a corner, which can be nerve-wracking if you haven't let it happen a few times, because you're like, oh god. But coming down the 5 into, or coming up I should say rather, into like Oregon, where you're going down these like 6% grades and these sharp rights and lefts, I was doing that at about 120k, so about 75 miles an hour in autopilot with trucks, semis, and everything, and the car's just grabbing these corners, and I'm like, whoa, okay, there we go. Like, gets you a little nervous at first. We got some major deceleration right now. Is it because of
the school zone?
Oh, cool. Good job, Beta.
Not bad.
It's like, hey, I gotta be careful for the kids, man.
That's what I need. I want to see. I wish they can put an update on mine where it can read the signs, slow down. Like, even if I'm coming up to a turn, apply the braking, and if it knows, it can, on the like on yours, it predicts the path. So you see it turn. I wish in mine that it would see that turning and start applying the brake and slowing down to go through that turn. Yeah,
because I guess then you wouldn't need as much, because there's that torque issue in the wheel, right?
Yeah.
And if it was going slower, it would require less torsion.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by that system too, because this is all directly connected. This is electronically driven steering that's connected straight to the computer. So this thing is literally like its own body, like us moving our arm, the car moving its wheel is the same kind of thought. But when it comes to Openpilot, it's more like somebody puts an antenna on you and is controlling your arm with a controller.
Yeah.
That's how it's a weird thought. Like, what is allowing it to do that?
So I'll engage it here, and then
there
I have
we go.
to adjust.
Got a little chime. And see, with this, you don't have the nag. You don't have to constantly touch the wheel.
No, it has the camera there, so like if I was to like kind of look down for too long, like right now I'm looking at the badge of the steering wheel.
Yeah, it says pay attention. Look at that. There you go. Driver distracted.
But as soon as my eyes are back on the road, it'll...
So I kind of wish that with our internal cameras, that if we're looking, we didn't have to nag.
This right here will be... Once he turns... No, I might just resume right away. Okay, there we go.
That was pretty good. Oh, so it shows something similar, like the throttle is that white line. It kind of seems to fade when it's stopping, and then...
So it's all, just to see, like I'll adjust the speed right now. Because it can do some of the turns. So if this car in front of us does it's a little bit following the car in front of us, a little bit just looking at what the path is, because you'll see it like 1 minute it'll be going straight, and then the car in front of you is turning, it'll turn and project that you're going to be going that way.
Follow the leader.
Yeah,
That's
which is kind of nice.
So the system's kind of latching on to another vehicle to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how that
so
might
like,
not be a good thing.
Yeah. So if a car is going straight and then you have like a little bit of a turn that goes in a different direction and you're not paying attention, it will just follow that car.
That'd be a little disjarring if you're caught off guard.
So
like,
I'll see how much it can do with this turn, but...
This is where you might have a torque limit.
Yep, there.
Yeah, wow, it yelled at you pretty quick. Steering temporarily unavailable.
So now that I'm in the turn, it slows it down. It's a little more temperamental.
So with that, you didn't disengage, you just gave it help. You did the turn.
I'm allowed to help it, like with the... I noticed with yours, like if you give it a significant amount of input with the steering wheel, it disengages.
It disengages. Well, it disengages steering, but cruise control stays on.
Oh, okay.
So that can be a little weird if you're not ready for it, because it'll still accelerate, and you're like, whoa. I do like how you're able to actually turn the wheel and help it. Because sometimes when I need to give it throttle to help it, that's all it needs. And maybe a little extra nudge on the wheel could be the right kind of feedback.
So it thinks that we're going left, but I can just give a little correction and then it'll start slowing down here.
And it doesn't fight. Like, no, I want to go the original way. It's nice if you have a system that can decelerate the cruise control quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. It's kind of, oh, it's gone now.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the intention line.
So yeah, if it has no idea what's coming up, like it won't engage unless that's green.
Okay. Kind of like the little blue steering wheel for me. Or if it's just visible at all. Awesome.
I'll engage it here.
Oh, there we go.
Not yet. There we go.
Having never used Openpilot, it from the outside looking in seems way more, maybe not complex, but a little intimidating.
Yeah.
To utilize, because with me it's just click click. It kind of takes a lot of the thinking out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, with this I feel, I mean, I'm sure it's easy to get used to. It's just something I've not used. Because once you know how to get to your cruise control settings, it should be pretty easy.
That's what I like about the FSD though. Like, you could potentially have a start to finish scenario where you push the button, it goes, and this is a lot more involved.
Oh, this person's still here like last time.
Yeah, I don't know how well it's going to do with this lady.
That was good. That's exactly how FSD Beta handled it. Just kept on going. Just in the shoulder enough to not freak the system.
I'm going to bump it up to like 55 because eventually we'll get there. And that's what I kind of like to do is I'll let it go towards, like if I'm on the freeway, I'll go to 75, but I know in the meantime it'll
kind of start getting there. Yeah.
I'll let everybody else kind of drive for me where I'll follow them.
I'll do that on the highway a lot. I wish there was a way to differentiate where you have different speed limit settings. Like I have a highway mode and a city mode for my speed limit stuff. That way, instead of 7% across the board, I can, or like how you can have your mirrors full to remember location.
Yeah.
And have it like set speed, remember location. That way you can cruise with traffic instead of going 30 miles an hour and everyone's like, dude. Oh, the red light. Yeah, I keep forgetting that's why.
I have to give up.
It seems like that'll be an easier thing to solve than complicated turns. The visual on the Openpilot display is very smooth.
It's just like an old cell phone.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It literally is just a cell phone that they, basically wiped everything off and put their own software on there, and then they're using the camera on the cell phone and then also the camera right here to kind of run the system.
And it's just connecting through the vehicle's computer.
I'm literally just doing I'm splicing into the existing wire harness that goes into the camera up there.
And it's accessing everything it needs.
So and also I have a connector that right here that uses for, that's where I get my power from. So right here, it might not use this term, so I'll just kind of help it through.
Yeah, you can kind of feel some of the G-forces there. Yeah. Because that's definitely where Beta would have slowed down quite a bit. Which is good and safe, but sometimes it feels a little too slow. That's me getting nitpicky about it, honestly, because like I know we take some of these corners faster. But in a world of self-driving cars, that won't matter. You know, you'll be too busy playing a video game or doing some work to care about how fast you're going through a corner.
Well, I mean, some people don't like to be like thrown through a corner pretty quickly, so it's like a happy medium between the two.
That's fair. I like my G-force.
Right.
By myself. I'm very cognizant of it with customers though. Because I'm like little old lady in the backseat getting thrown into the door. Like, no, that's not good.
It's got a little finesse to it. It can kind of like do a calm drive to the FSD.
For sure. Drive. Well, this feels very good on these more moderate roads. Like, this is a really good autopilot system in that sense. Like, taking a lot of the stress out of the driving, even if it can't do the more complex stuff yet.
I think when FSD was not an option, this, I mean, it was a good comparison because a lot of times the autopilot wouldn't work with like not that many lane lines, or they broke it or whatever. And this will kind of use the edge of the road. So the in red, it knows where the edge of the road is. Even if you don't have a line right here, it'll figure out that it needs to hug one side of the road if that's the end of it.
So I bet, maybe you can tell me this, you know, on highway and such, like off of exits and things, when the lanes get really wide, does it do a good job of sitting and not like getting in the middle?
It does. Yeah, no, it does fine. So like, let's say if it gets wide over there, it'll hug the line over to the left.
See, that's awesome.
If it gets wide over on the left, it'll hug the right hand side just to kind of keep it, whatever's the straightest path, it'll find the line that's closer to it to follow, unless you, I don't know, tell it to do like a lane change or something like that. Then it will change its course, and you just nudge the steering wheel over when you want to do a lane change. That's what we're kind of missing with autopilot. I know, because on the highway we're still running the same old code, and it's a constant thing that we all complain about. When the lane gets wide, it dances. And it doesn't kind of just pick the middle even. It'll continue to kind of try to figure out where it's going, and you're like, yo, chill, just go straight. It's really cool that this does that. And that reflecting that red line is just like what the beta's doing. It shows the median, like, don't pass zone, and then it colors the center median as well. Which this doesn't really need to, you can see it. So now it kind of it lost it there. It just held its line over here. Yeah. Actually, I wish I could come up to someone to show you a better example of like what it does. I think what we'll do is we'll head back over that way, and I'll show you like what it can't do, and then we'll do some city stuff too. I wish I could do more of like taking a course and aggressive turns, but for what it's meant for, like just relaxing freeway driving. Like I went to California a couple weeks ago, and 90% of it was just me just relaxing and able to let the car do its thing, kept me in my lane, distance between the other car in front of me, and then, you know, like there's not much disengagements where it's not really well suited for the city. How's it do in rapid slowdown scenarios, like someone cutting you off or really good? Because it's using the camera and the radar. Oh yeah, that's fair. The radar is in the system itself, or it's on the front of the car. Oh, so the car has radar. Yep. That probably has to do with the cars that are possible to use with Openpilot. And you'll see on the website too, they'll list what system the Comma is able to use. So like certain cars can use all of them. Radar, lane keep and assist, lane follow, whatever. So this car will use all of it. Now other cars, it will just use the lane keep assist and just do primarily highway driving. Oh, so pretty much the max of what the car is capable of. And a lot of cars, they can't do stop and go traffic, so we're like, you know, that slower speeds below like 10 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour for some cars, they're not able to, you know, keep you within that car behind you or in front of you at a, you know, decent distance, and it'll cut off below like 10 miles an hour or 15. Oh, I got you. Kind of like adaptive cruise control. When you get down, I think in some cars to like 20 miles an hour. Yeah. That's like the limit. Yeah. I got you. So like right here, I'll show you what it. Oh, because we kind of a slightly harder left turn here. I literally had to probably take it at 30 miles an hour for it to be able to attempt it. But and I guess you have to predict that ahead of time and manually slow down before you get to it. It's kind of annoying because normally you would just kind of get to the turn and then slow brake down gradually. So yeah. And it's going to give up. And it's still, yeah, it's going a little wide there. So I'll take over. I'll use the gas to take us through, or I can use, let's see. Oh, you can throw it in and just steer yourself. Yeah.
or apply some assistance. That's really cool. Now, in the sense of something that's actually meant to relieve stress as a driver assistance feature, it's pretty great. Like, not having to nag the wheel on something like on the highway, long distance trips. I've gotten used to just kind of like leaving the weight of my hand on the wheel, and that takes care of the nag for the most part, but not having to worry about it at all is pretty nice. I really am jealous of the function of the internal camera detection, or the driver monitoring.
It definitely has its place. You know, like, a lot of people might be like, it doesn't do well in like the city area, and it doesn't. You know, maybe if you're like in town, you do in a lot of stop and go traffic, it's great. But I think it's more meant for people on the freeway. It's meant for like a chill experience, so you can get from point A to point B on like the freeway up until your exit, and it's a total, you know, relaxing experience, because as long as you're looking forward to the road, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I think knowing the appropriate application is kind of a good thing to want to kind of temper people's expectations, because it really, it's not an apples to apples comparison to put this up against FSD, or even FSD up against Waymo, because of how much different that function is based on LiDAR and mapping, and, you know, being more restricted, which I still really want to try out.